next guests are Heather Matuzo and Julia Dressler from Buffalo City Mission. Thank you both for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Tell us a little bit about Buffalo City Mission and what you guys do.
Yeah, well, Buffalo City Mission has been around since 1917. We are the Western New York's largest homeless shelter in the area. We have a men's side and we have a women and children's shelter. And we have been feeding the homeless and housing the homeless and having more holistic care to help those that come and stay with us. When they leave, they're more self-sufficient and they can just go on and not come back.
And tell us a little bit more about what your mission is.
Our mission is to provide that holistic care to these homeless individuals that come to us. Everybody comes in different ways. It's not that cookie cutter design. So we meet with them where they're at, and we want to make sure that we can help them, come shoulder to shoulder with them, and start from the ground up so they have those fundamental resources that they might need so they can go back into society.
Now, viewers, as you know, I'm the current Miss Buffalo, and my community service initiative is Resilient Warriors Awareness and Aid for Domestic Violence. So I decided to partner with Buffalo City Mission to do a supply drive. We were looking for undergarments for women in a domestic violence shelter. Can you talk a little bit more about why these undergarments in particular are so necessary?
Of course, yeah. So that's actually one of the things that people don't think about when they are providing the practical items that we need to give back to the individuals that we serve on a daily basis. They don't think about the unmentionables, right? But people who come to us, sometimes they're fleeing those domestic violence situations, so they come to us with just the clothes on their back. And when they come through our intake department, we have them go through their first shower. We give them brand new clothing, and a lot of them don't have those specific undergarments that they need. So those are what we tend to, we actually call that gold at the Mission. Underwear and bras, that is gold at the Mission and over at our homeless shelter for women.
Isn't that so hard to think about? That is something that we don't even realize. You know, we get dressed and that's the first thing we put on, and it's a second, it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize for some people that is so necessary. Like you said, some of these women or some of these people are fleeing very dangerous situations and they don't really have time to plan or pack a bag. They just have to go and get out when they can and seek refuge. So for you guys to be able to give them something so small but something so meaningful is a lot. What other ways can the community support you guys?
Well, we primarily are 99% privately funded. So that's based on individual donors like you and I. So that's either a monetary gift or practical items, whether it's hygiene items or those clothing donations. They can be gently used, just new undergarments though.
Yeah, the undergarments we need to be new.
But yeah, like you said, it's that special gift that the community gives, and these individuals feel so special. And it's just, there's actually this one story that I remember about an individual. He was actually at our men's side, and he graduated out of our program, came back and was speaking, I think, with one of our chaplains, and made a comment about how he's this successful businessman right now, but the biggest impact that he had when he came to the Mission, because it's usually the scariest day of your life is when you walk into a homeless shelter, and he received a brand new pair of underwear. And that night, he sat down on his cot and he cried. Because he couldn't even provide such a simple item for himself. And so it's those specific items that you think, like you said, you don't even think about when you put them on, but it means so much more to individuals that can't provide for themselves.
How long have you guys been working with Buffalo City Mission, and what got you involved?
Sure. So I've only been with the Mission a few months. I've been there, I think, 9 months.
July, yeah.
Yeah, I started in July. And I recently got back. I was serving as a missionary in Peru, and when I came back to Buffalo, I knew that I really wanted to keep giving back to my local community. And it was hard coming back to America after that situation, but finding the Mission, I just felt at home. And seeing how we really affirm the dignity of each person. You know, we're not just focusing on putting a shelter over their head. Like, shelter is great, but is that going to help them, you know, in the long term to get back on their feet? And so everything they do at the Mission with the education program and the hot meal really just helps them focus on getting back on their feet and where they're at.
Yeah. And I've actually been with the mission for about 6 years now. And I have been born and raised Buffalo my whole life. And actually, the mission has kind of been in my veins since I was younger. My grandfather was the president of the board back in the 80s. And saw the mission in the original capital campaign that they had. We originally started on Broadway when we bought out in 1922, they bought a cabaret building and they renovated it from burlesque into this beautiful mission. And the mission has seen so many different moments in history. And so my grandfather, with the help of Mayor Griffin, they went out and did a capital campaign to raise money for the building that they built in 1984. And then we had a capital campaign for our brand new facility that we just opened up in 2020. And it is double the size of the predecessor that we have. And like Julie had mentioned, it offers that wonderful care from education to job skill training. And I mean, every individual that comes into the shelter, they have a case manager that has that individual plan to help them.
Absolutely, because it's especially, you know, for me speaking from the domestic violence side, I know that it takes a few times for people to leave their situation and then go back. And so what keeps them you know, away and making a better life for themselves is the opportunity to figure out, make that toolkit and make those connections, whether it's education, what they're good at for a job. And so that fact that you guys provide that is something that blew me away, and it was definitely why I wanted to be involved. So thank you for letting me join on. If you guys are touched by this, we'll be continuing the supply drive of Buffalo City's Amazon wish list through April 3rd. You can go to our website at daytimebuffalo.com and click on today's episode to find the link to the Amazon wish list. Donate whatever you can by adding products to your cart. Just be sure to click on Buffalo City Mission as the address when you're checking out so that all of those supplies can be sent directly to them. Thank you guys again for coming in and letting me, you know, hopefully make an impact on our community.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Well, getting accepted into a great school is amazing, but for one college-bound student, being accepted into multiple great schools is becoming a bit of a headache.
Salem, ODU, Wingate, VSU.
And there are 20 more where that came from. For Courtney Turan, the sky is the limit.
It makes me feel proud of myself.
Courtney says originally she wanted to go to VCU, then just kept applying from there. She says it was really heartwarming every time she opened a new letter.
And it's made it a little bit difficult to choose which college I'm going to.
And drum roll, please. She's headed to Regent University this fall to study psychology.
Over quarantine, there was a whole bunch of incidents going on, such as George Floyd, and that really motivated me to understand why people think the way that they think.
Courtney's principal, Dr. Sean Green, says Courtney would always challenge herself by taking advanced courses. So much so that in addition to her high school diploma, she's graduating with her associate's degree.
Typically out of the 400 students, we may have one or two, so she definitely stands out.
Dr. Green says they have this wall to showcase all the students moving on to different colleges, trade schools, or the military.
It's now even to the point where we are kind of like backlogging, trying to get all of the schools up.
But Courtney says getting her name up on the wall multiple times wouldn't have been possible without the support of her friends, family, and especially her dad.
He's told me that every time that I say that I can't, I have to do it, and I can. This is a very life-changing experience.
Still to come, strap on your heels and take a dance class with me. I'll tell you about the exciting workshop I'm hosting this weekend. Don't go anywhere. That's coming up after the break.